Hi guys, Jonathan here with Farmer's Friend. Today we're at Bountiful Blessings Farm and I'm here with my dad, John. This farm has a special place in my heart because it's where I grew up from the time I was about 2 years old until I moved off the farm when I was 25. We're going to be giving a farm tour and I'm super excited to show you guys what they're doing here. And without further ado, let's start here at the greenhouse.
Okay. Well, this is the greenhouse or the prop house or the nursery. We're past the spring rush, and so it's half empty. Caleb's got his microgreens down the far end. We're planting lettuce every week, but and then some squash and things once a month. We have kind of a hybrid system. We still mainly stick to soil blocks, but we're doing enough lettuce that we've switched to 200 plug trays just because we're doing so much.
Yeah.
And
so over the years, you guys have developed some systems in here and made a lot of improvements. I think the permanent benches that are not made out of wood or anything that's going to decay is a good point, because we've gone through over the years a number of iterations of benches that just eventually rotting away, and so that's cool. Also, the concrete floor, in a prop house makes a huge difference. So that's a fairly recent upgrade within the last few years. Drains in the floor and concrete, that makes a big difference.
We've had concrete here where we did our soil blocking and stuff for a long time, but concreting the rest of it is, probably 3 years old or something.
Okay.
And it makes a huge difference. And I think it keeps it cooler in here. I may be just imagining it, but
okay.
I think that it keeps it cooler and, reflects more. I mean, we just had wood chips down in here before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to highlight, but obviously a quality of life improvement is having like permanent hose, hookups with the overhead trolleys. That's a really great system. The reason we were starting here is kind of where everything starts in the life cycle of, the farm. So going from here, where's the next stop?
Well, let's head down to the M pads. I'll just say we do use, we use some plugs. We still use some paper pots. And then, of course, we use the soil blocks. So we kind of do a little bit of everything. We haven't figured out one system that works with everything.
Okay.
So we'll head out here. This is a new improvement as of very recently, this road.
Yeah.
Because Connor Crickmore kind of inspired us with the golf cart idea. So we use the golf carts a lot on the farm, but we were starting to get a lot of erosion and very bumpy roads. So Caleb did this very recently. So this is all Salanova, well, some head lettuce too, but again, like Ray does, we cover it for 2 weeks after planting with 50% shade, and then take that off and finish it off in the sun, and it's working. We're getting pretty consistent production through the summer.
Yeah.
And of course, it's all in quick plant, which has really revolutionized the farm, I would say. What do you say? A game changer? Is that what we say?
I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think that it is a game changer for a lot of people once they kind of embrace it. Probably the biggest comment we get on quick plant fabric is just the comment about, oh, great, basically all we need, just more plastic in the world. And, we're sensitive to that, but I think we kind of have to focus on the fact that this is not single-use plastic. You're going to get years of, we were just talking the other day about plastic that you guys burned holes in 20 years ago and then ended up selling to another local farm, and he just disposed of it recently. And so that stuff had been in circulation for nearly 20 years.
20 years,
which is kind of crazy.
The original quick plant.
Yeah. I remember burning that stuff out here in front of the barn, stretching it out and burning all the holes in it. So the fact that that lived for that long makes us feel a little bit better about it. But the reality is, in order to run a efficient, profitable veg farm like this, you can't spend all your time weeding. And so it's kind of like a necessary evil to use some weed barriers like that. So
well, and yeah, I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of the microplastics and stuff, but I do know we've tried enough things over the years, natural mulches, wood, straw.
yeah.
I mean, I think we've tried everything over the years.
Yeah.
And, they all have their downsides. And from our experience at this point, I'm saying the quick plant has more upsides than any of the other things we've ever tried. And maybe part of it's being in the south with the humidity, and I mean, we've had a very wet spring, and the organic mulches just keep things too wet.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so this is a new system we're trying for green beans this year.
Okay.
Just planting 2 beds each week. So we've got 4 successions here. And this is Caleb's idea again, that you just wait till they're really loaded, pull the plants up, strip them. So it's a one-shot deal. And you just keep planting. So we're going to try that. This is new this year. Just a one harvest green bean planting.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
2 rows per bed. We've got insect netting down there over our greens, our arugula and radishes and stuff.
Okay.
And this is our movable tunnel.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we go too much farther, let's
These
talk about the
two.
movable. So the movable tunnels has been something that we were pursuing on the farm for quite some time and tried, I don't know. I mean, it feels like, 4 or 5 different versions of different designs.
An evolutionary process.
Maybe we can tag that other video that we did on the movable tunnels, but this is the one that obviously at this point is the best solution, which took more work with the permanent concrete footers and attaching that rail to it, but that system works amazing. So if somebody really wants to do it and they're willing to put some time and money into it, that seems like the way to go.
Yeah, one person can move it in about 15 minutes with the golf cart.
Yeah.
Just hook up to the corner, and so
that's awesome.
I'd love to have a few more.
Okay.
But it's a fair bit of work to get it set up.
Yeah. So
got a few flowers here, just lots of Salanova, and we do arugula. We've cut way back on the amount of stuff we grow.
Yeah.
And just focused on what people want. We got tired of trying to convince people to try stuff. And so we've cut way back. So this is here in the South, we have lots of issues with squash bugs and cucumber beetles and stuff. And so our solution for the squash is to plant a new patch every month. And so this one's just coming on board. So as soon as we start picking here, then that one up there comes out. And so we're trying to break up the life cycle of the squash bugs. They start laying their eggs there. But, like here, we just took the insect netting off this actually a few days ago. So, it spends 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, covered in insect netting. So squash bugs don't have as long to get established there.
Okay.
Got some dahlias here, and some other flowers. We've got a young lady doing flowers. That's just mixed scallions dill, beets, fennel. It's our last carrot planting down there. You know, we've tried pushing stuff through the summer, but I don't know, the quality really starts suffering on a lot of things. So lettuce and the greens are the only cool weather stuff we're really trying to push.
Okay.
We do a half a pad of arugula, radishes, baby kale every week. We just got a Jang. We got the JP3.
Okay.
And we're pretty happy with it. I should say we just got a Jang multi-row seeder.
Okay.
So,
do you want to talk about the irrigation systems that you have in place now down the pads here? Because I know irrigation is something that a lot of people struggle with, and so if they're trying to strive for more of a permanent irrigation system, like they're ready to make that investment, do you have any pointers on what you guys have done? Because we've been through a few different iterations of irrigation setups as well in 20 something years. So I think what you guys have now is pretty dialed in, right?
I feel pretty good about it. I'm not saying it couldn't be improved, but you know, we've got, it's called Bountiful Blessings because we do feel bountifully blessed, and one of those bountiful blessings, besides our 5 kids, is our water source, because we have a spring-fed pond up the valley. Of course, you know this very well. Lots of good memories at the pond. It's about a 2-acre pond, and so we have gravity flow. We have a 4-inch line from the pond coming down, and then we've just teed off of that, and we have these field blocks here, each 30 by 100, and there's a valve box at the corner of each of those field blocks. And we use wobblers because, you know, we don't have a lot of pressure, but, you know, the beauty is it's gravity flow, so there's no expense involved.
Yeah.
And you know, at best we get about 20 PSI.
Yeah.
Which is plenty for the wobbler.
Yeah. What size lines did you run down to all your pads? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, you know, we've got the 4-inch line, and then it splits to 2 3-inch lines, and then goes down to 2-inch.
Yeah.
And on the pads, it's probably a little overkill, but we went with 1.5 inches because we were trying to keep all the pressure we could.
I was going to make that point because I think that when you're in an environment where you're already struggle with low pressure, you have to be really cognizant of that. But I think a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact the size of the pipe makes on pressure. So I've seen people installing like 3/4 inch or 1-inch line, and I'm thinking, man, you're just killing your pressure. So, you know, it doesn't cost that much to go with a bigger line. And if you're, you know, the farm here is kind of spread out in a lot of ways. I mean, we've worked to kind of consolidate things over the years, but you got pretty good distances. So if you're running a few hundred feet or farther, you know, you have to go with a large line.
I mean, I think if anything, we overbuilt it. You know, I think we probably could have gotten by with the 1-inch line on the pads, but
you're talking about like your header, or not your header, but your supply lines to your individual sprinklers.
Yeah. And we do run 5 sprinklers rather than 4. A lot of people do 4, but...
Well, the proper way would be 5. The only way you're going to get proper coverage is if you put one all the way at the very edge there.
Yeah, and that's why we also have spread the pads out some. You know, that's something...
Let's just go ahead and walk this way. We can talk while we're going.
That's something I haven't heard very many people talking about, but if you have all your blocks next to each other, especially because we're growing strawberries out here, you know, we don't want overspray from this pad going on the strawberries.
Yeah,
or sometimes there's other things. So
you want to consolidate and get everything close together for efficiency, but at the same time, having a little space kind of helps you out. So do you remember how much space you have between the blocks here? Because it's plenty enough space to get through with the golf cart and tractor and trailer and whatever you want driving through there. Probably what,
Yeah.
15 feet?
I think it's supposed to be 12,
Okay.
but it's probably a little more than we need,
Yeah.
but we had the space. It just means a little more mowing.
What's the white plastic in between the strawberries? Is that just reducing, obviously weeding, but then also, or mowing in this case? But
Yeah.
temperature, does that help with lower temperatures?
We haven't actually measured that, but I would assume that.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you remember, but the aisles with strawberries has been a challenge ever since the beginning for us.
Yeah.
Conventionally, they spray weed killer down the center in the spring and then often put down straw or something. But, without spraying an herbicide, we've tried everything, tried just mowing it, but then the berries start coming in and you're smashing berries. We've tried straw, but that gets expensive, and then you get a whole secondary weed problem with the wheat. We've tried, what else have we tried? Oh, we've tried cover crops like a winter-killed spring oats.
Yeah.
And that just didn't, that worked cool, but it didn't keep the weeds down through the whole season.
Summer. Yeah.
So
when I was growing up, we push mowed it,
Yeah.
by hand.
That's
so
right.
You'll notice that as the more and more kids have grown and left the farm, the efficiencies are getting.
Well, it's, there's so many factors. It's our kids are getting smarter and more helpful.
We should mention too, because it keeps coming up in conversation, that I have 3 brothers, 2 of which are still on the farm full time. And so Caleb, we mentioned earlier, and Joshua, they both have different kind of roles that they play in the farm, but it's pretty cool to see how over the last few years they've really become invested in the success of the farm. So,
well, we've had a lot of teachers over the years, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Elliot Coleman was my mentor from the beginning. His new organic grower was my constant companion in the garden, and so this is really based on his work. And then, of course, you remember when we went to visit JM, when his Market Gardener book was just in French, and that was very inspirational. I feel like he's the one that put us onto this sprinkler system with just the grommets that you plug into.
Yep.
We already knew about wobblers, but we had a very cumbersome system. You remember pounding in the rebar and
clamping it with pipe clamps to a rebar.
Or zip ties.
Well, and then we also used like PVC risers.
Yeah.
And then they would break off because they get brittle over time. And so,
we just didn't know any better. Back when we started, we didn't even have internet. So anyway, so let me just tell you this is kind of where we're at, and this is where the quick plant fabric comes in. So we're really trying on these field plots here to do a no-till system and permanent beds. So, we're only getting 6 beds because we've got a tractor that's got too wide a wheelbase. If we were starting over again, or if we had more money, we would get a smaller tractor, a narrower wheelbase. I think we could get 7, possibly 8 rows per pad. Anyway,
your pads, just for reference here, are 30 by 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually 31 and a half technically, because we want space for the wheels on the outside, either side. So here's, we had a winter cover crop here. And this is a pad we're resting this year. So we just flail mowed the winter cover crop. We tarp it, which again, our visit to JM's farm with the tarps was, I mean, that was truly a game changer when we learned about tarping. So we tarp it for 2 or 3 weeks just to make sure everything's dead. And then I've just seeded another cover crop into this and just keep it moist, and it's coming up well. But if we were going to be planting a crop here, like this is what we did with the garlic, we would just tarp it, make sure everything's dead, then come in here with our quick plant, just staple it down and plant right through the residue.
Okay.
Use the right angle trowels, or with the garlic, we just use a dibbler. And so far, I mean, it's evolving. We're a few years into this, but the transplanting takes a little bit longer.
Because the soil's more compacted, or what?
Well, just because you're dealing with the residue. It can be more compacted, but the other thing we sometimes do is we have an undercutter bar.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's my favorite piece of equipment, I think.
So just run that under to loosen it up.
Yeah, I feel like it does what the broad fork does. It just loosens the soil from underneath, and sometimes we'll reform the bed with the bed shaper, but we're not tilling. We're minimally working the soil, and I'm really excited about how it's working.
Cool.
Here's our garlic. We were supposed to get that harvested yesterday, but it didn't happen. Again, this was all in quick plant. You see there's a few weeds in there, but
that had just come through the holes.
Yeah, that had come through the holes, but it's nothing really. We did weed it. We did go through once and give it a good weeding.
Yeah. So you pulled the fabric off the top of the plant.
Fabric came up so easy.
Okay.
It was amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm just really stoked.
One of the things that we're able to do now is different size holes. So you could do a smaller hole on things like garlic or maybe even onions.
Yeah.
The bulb could get bigger, but then you just pull the fabric off the top. That's interesting.
Yeah. And this is the first time these brassicas are on their way out. We're middle of June here, but first time we've done our outdoor brassicas in fabric, and we even put fabric in the aisles.
Yep.
So, I mean, we didn't weed this at all. Again, there's a few weeds in holes.
Not enough to impact your production.
No, not any economic impact. And, I mean, I may have pulled out an occasional weed if I thought it was going to seed or something. And the other thing that I think is interesting, and this may just apply to us here in the South, and maybe it's just because we've had a very wet spring, but we don't have drip on any of this.
Okay.
It's all overhead. And last year, we did sweet potatoes in fabric. Also had it in the aisles, so there was not a weed in the sweet potato patch. It was amazing. But again, I actually put drip on that, but I never hooked it up, and just overhead irrigated it when I thought it needed it.
Okay.
And I mean, we had the best sweet potato crop ever.
Huh.
So
enough,
I don't know.
Enough water is getting through, either just directly through the holes or
somehow.
Yeah. And, of course, we're in a different position here because there's no limit to the water. A lot of people are
we're
trying to conserve
blessed.
water. So the reality here is if you don't use the water. It's just running down the creek. So the spring is 50 or 60 gallons a minute, even in the driest part of the summer.
Yeah, we've never seen the pond go down.
Yeah.
Even in drought.
So that's unique. Most people like drip because they can conserve water. Here, that's not a concern.
So I just wanted to talk about the caterpillar tunnels on the strawberries. We have for the last few years, we have 3 strawberry pads, and we've had one covered with 2 caterpillar tunnels, and so 2 outdoor. But this spring started getting so wet that we scrounged and cannibalized some shorter tunnels, and we came up with 200 footers and just threw them up here, and I feel like it really saved our strawberry crop. So to me, that's the most exciting use of tunnels, caterpillar tunnels, is just putting them over temporary crops that need protection. So as soon as the strawberries are pretty much finished. We only picked 4.5 flats this morning. But as soon as we declare the strawberries finished, we will take these tunnels and put them over the raspberries and blackberries. So keep the rain off the raspberries for the fall. They're fall-bearing raspberries.
I think a lot of people are not really moving their caterpillar tunnels that much, but JM is the one that still, I think he moves his tunnels like 3 times a year. That's kind of what they're designed for.
It's a bit of work, but I think a key, if you can, is to keep the purlin all one piece. In other words, don't take the purlin apart when you move it.
You take it, you obviously disconnect it from the ridge.
Well, right.
And just move it in one piece.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And Caleb came up with some hangers that you should sell, that you can kind of just place the purlin pipe up there.
Yeah.
Before you start.
I feel like I should take a moment now to mention the fact that you didn't think caterpillar tunnels were a good idea.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I said I didn't think a kit was going to be a good idea, because I didn't think farmers would be willing to pay when they could do it themselves. But I've eaten those words. And so this is our original tunnel besides our greenhouse, and it's the only Quonset shaped one we have, the only one we ever will have, because there's some real drawbacks that I don't like it. It works fine for the caterpillar tunnels, but not a high tunnel.
What are the main drawbacks that you see from it?
Well, obviously,
sidewall height, I'm assuming.
Up north where you get a lot of snow, it doesn't shed the snow. That's not a big deal for us. But what is a big deal, and I've never heard anybody talk about this, but if you have a roll-up side, the top of the roll-up side's way here, so the water condenses and comes down here and drips right here.
Right.
So you're not able to have, normally in a 30-foot wide house, you have 8 beds.
So you're losing a bed on the side.
We're losing a bed because, we didn't know any better, so we had 8 beds in here, and the outside beds stayed so wet in the wintertime that they were useless.
Yeah.
So, it's a bad idea.
So buy Gothic tunnels. The Gothics are definitely, we sell probably 3 Gothics to every one. We started referring to it as classic. It's kind of the classic high tunnel shape. Nobody could pronounce Quonset, so.
Just pointing out we've got kale and collards here in quick plant. And these will go, we seeded these beginning of February, and they will go till next February.
Yeah. And you got, what is this, 30%?
30%
30% shade.
Yeah,
So-
we've found anything more than that starts affecting the growth.
The growth, yeah, it gets a little too leggy.
And we're starting to upgrade these to full greenhouse status.
What does that mean?
Polycarbonate end walls and side walls.
Okay.
And
I feel like that's one of the...
electricity, HAF fans, heaters, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And we think from our limited experience with it that it pays for itself pretty quickly. Especially, well, you get an earlier tomato crop in the spring, and then in the winter, just keeping it above freezing, which here in Tennessee takes virtually no heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
So-
and you get a lot more growth in the
You've
winter.
got two rows of tomatoes on a 30-inch single. You're doing a single leader trellis.
Single leader
which
grafted
Is my
tomato.
favorite. Even as soon as you try to go to a double leader, it's just like it gets chaotic.
It gets complicated.
So single leader's the way to go. With clipper trellis hanging
Clippers,
from just
man.
a wire or a cable, I should say, and then you're doing lean, lower and lean, and then just drip. I mean, it's pretty simple, but you also have some circulation fans in there to keep air really moving. And
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that I'm not getting paid by Farmer's Friend, right?
you just get a little bit of a discount on your product.
I do get a friends and family.
Go
but,
for it.
I mean, the clipper system, it's like I can't figure out why anybody would use anything else. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And it just is so efficient. It's a game changer.
It's so easy that even a kid can figure it out. I don't know if I told you this, but I figured that out because I went and trellised all my tomatoes. I went out there the next day and James had untrellised them all.
Yeah. So what we do in here, and again, I haven't seen others doing this, but rather than a lot of people just put one row of tomatoes per bed, but it ends up being such a jungle that it's, I have claustrophobia, and so
Oh, you're saying one row down a
on
bed
every
with,
bed,
with
on
12-inch pathways or whatever on every bed. Yeah.
so you end up with this jungle, whereas we're getting the same number
Same amount of plants.
but just skipping a bed.
Yeah. And you're
So that
angling them out a little bit, it looks
We
like.
do
Is that
angle
intentional?
them out a little bit, yeah, just to get more light, and then we can run a cart down in between
Oh, for harvesting.
to harvest.
Yeah, that's great.
So that is a system that seems to be working well for us.
Yeah.
The other
They look
thing I'll
beautiful.
say, the last 2 years we've used the AEA John Kemp's fertility program, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
And that has made a big difference, I think. This is our root crop greenhouse. Carrots.
Mostly done for the
Yeah,
season.
we're cropping it out.
winter carrots. Talk a little bit about the winter carrots because that's been
Oh.
something that's been kind of a signature crop. Everybody's dying for our winter carrots.
Yeah,
So-
our winter carrots we do outside because we think they get sweeter outside, and we don't
Well,
have
they do.
enough.
It's not just stuff.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they.
I mean, we've tried to grow them in the greenhouse over the winter or in a hoop house, and I don't think they get as sweet. So, yeah, we do a lot of winter carrots, but then carrots are also the only thing we we overwinter, I guess you could say. We seed like in November
In the tunnel.
in the tunnel, a couple beds, and then those are ready when our CSA starts mid-April.
Okay. So the winter carrots that are super sweet that you're harvesting through the winter, those you plant like in August.
We seed
or something,
in
right?
August, like the third week in August. Bolero.
So they have to get to mostly to maturity before, fall starts really picking up.
By the end of October, they're ready to start harvesting.
And then they pretty much just sit there dormant all winter.
Yeah, just
keep
in
harvesting.
the cold storage in the ground. This is our other automated tunnel. So we've got our peppers and eggplant and cucumbers in here.
So the cucumbers you're doing with the clipper system, single lead as well.
Yeah. Cucumbers are our biggest challenge. We're in the process of screening the houses. The side walls are screened, but we need to screen the vents, and because we just get the cucumber beetles
and then it just kills them.
they cause the bacterial wilts, and so again we just plant at least once a month, and I mean, we just don't get a lot of production out of them before they go belly up.
So eggplant and peppers are both, like, they need a little bit of support, but like not enough to really justify clipper, you think?
Well, obviously a lot of people trellis them. We've done that in the past. It was a lot of work. We just didn't feel like we had the manpower to keep up with it.
So will you come through every once in a while and add another string, or is that pretty much all they need at this point?
No, I mean, they'll get way up here before the summer's over. And
it looks like you've got some good production on your eggplant.
Yeah, it's... Again, this year we sprayed the strawberries and the tomatoes and the peppers and eggplant with the AEA stuff. And I think it makes a big difference. So here, you got to see this. This is corn in quick plant fabric.
Never thought I would see the day.
And we've transplanted corn for a long time. We only do 2 pads, 4 plantings, and this is
kind of a special treat for like your CSA customers, right?
Exactly.
It's like the 4th of July treat for CSA, pretty much.
It's a loss leader, I guess you could say, because we don't make a lot of money on it, but this has just made it a lot easier.
Yeah, if you don't have to weed. And
we seed 4 seeds per block. We use a 3-inch soil block, and so we get quite a bit of production out of it. And then this is just the double row 18-inch
2x18 pattern.
2x18, and
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then I wanted to show you the potatoes. Again, we're trying to eliminate weeds, and in the past, we can keep it pretty well cultivated until the plants start falling over, which these are Yukon Golds. They get tall and fall over. And then you lose control of the weeds because you can't cultivate. So you end up with weeds going to seed and stuff, and I really hate that. So we've just put straight landscape fabric in the aisles. Well, let me say we have a tractor potato
hiller.
Two hiller discs that we run over. I hilled it twice.
Okay.
It takes...
Start out wider and kind of pull the dirt in as you go, or do you just do
Yeah,
one
a
pass?
little bit.
Okay.
And then just put the fabric down. I'm not too concerned about weeds unless they're in danger of going to seed before the crop is harvested.
That's something that, growing up, I remember you always saying 1 year's seeding is 7 years weeding. I'm sure you didn't. Where'd that saying come from?
From Eliot.
Oh, okay.
From his book. Well, I don't know where it
Yeah, I'm
originated
sure it's probably
from,
some
but
old, Farmer's Almanac thing or whatever. But that was instilled in us, and so we try to keep a good perimeter around all the field blocks too. And you guys are still doing that. I've been on a lot of farms where they'll just have weeds just going to seed everywhere, and I'm just thinking, so yeah, it's one thing for it to just be a little weed there, but once it gets to the point where it's seeding, then you think you're really causing yourself a lot of work down the road. I think it's paid off too, because even if in areas where you don't have cover, it's not a total jungle just instantly. Like the weed pressure's gotten a lot better over the years.
It definitely has gone down. Yeah, we still have weeds, but yeah, I really think in my mind there's a future for landscape fabric combined with no-till.
Okay.
Because our experience with no-till without the landscape fabric is that your cover crop, your allelopathic effect, will work for about a month. It will really inhibit weeds for about a month, and then they come up and you're sunk because you can't cultivate with all that dead residue.
Do you want to hit on any of the berries?
Well, this is kind of, our experimental patch. We've got 2 rows of raspberries, fall-bearing raspberries, and then we've got a fall-bearing blackberry, and then a floricane-bearing blackberry. But anyway, we're not selling any of these right now just because of our concern over SWD. You know about SWD?
Is that the
spotted wing
scientific
Drosophila?
term? That's just our acronym.
That's our code name.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem for organic berries for sure.
So until we feel confident we can grow them without our customers finding larvae in them,
It's a bad customer review.
I mean, it's not good for.
You've got asparagus.
We've got asparagus. That's kind of our crop that we're really wondering whether we should keep growing. I mean, everybody loves it, but we don't get enough production to really justify the work. We tried mulching the whole pad with wood chips, and that worked pretty well last year, but this year we had so many weeds come up through the wood chips that, I don't know. We're gonna try putting fabric down in the aisles and these blueberries. So this is
what is this?
This is the result of the cicadas. This is the year of the cicadas.
I was wondering about that. Did they just
they lay their eggs in the end? And Joshua and Kelly said they saw larvae in there.
Really? So they burrow in here and then...
Yeah, somehow. I haven't seen it, but I was actually relieved because I thought it was a disease. So...
Wow, that's crazy.
Anyway, we don't... this is kind of our retirement project. We figure when we're too old to bend over, we can pick blueberries and other berries. So at this point, they're not getting the care that they need, but we're getting production. The grandkids love them.
Yeah, I might just help myself to some right here. Well, let's head up to the barn and show everybody the pack house, wash pack.
Okay.
That's always a highlight. Okay. Well, before we head inside, why don't you talk about the tool wall a little bit?
We have lots of tools because we're a teaching farm, and I think it's important for people to get their hands on different ones. And what I like, maybe somebody else doesn't like as much. So yeah, we've got more than our share of tools.
You want to just highlight some of the staples, like your favorites?
I mean, if I had to pick one tool, it would probably be the collinear hoe. I love the handle. I love the hoe.
How happy are you with the Connecta version? Is that, cut it?
You can't get better than this. This handle is so light. And yeah, well, we're getting the Connecta for our interns. Of course, Connor also has his version. We've got both actually over here. They both have some pluses and minuses. It's hard to say which I prefer at this point, but it's a little bulkier, than this.
Okay.
And that's what I love.
So if you're just going for light, nimble, cultivating,
but certainly
linear hoe is the way to go.
Having multiple heads has advantages. So,
Okay.
In my mind, the collinear hoe, the stirrup hoe, the bed prep rake, I wish maybe somebody at Johnny's is watching this and they'll give us back the long handle. The handle that they use now is so heavy and short.
So this is the original long handle.
This is literally probably 25 years old.
Okay.
And the handle is needing
Better
replacing. But yeah, I love the long handle, and it's just lighter.
Yeah.
Of course, the wheel hoe, every farm.
The Glosser wheel hoe.
Glosser wheel hoe, although I had my hands on a Valley Oak this week, I was impressed with a number of things about it.
And you have a Haas, or is that the Haas, the green one?
My honest review is that it's not heavy duty enough for market gardeners.
How much do you all use the tilther?
Well, quite a bit, actually.
Still use it quite a bit? Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the originals there. And this is something new. This is something your little brother did this spring. It's just a bin washing station. It's got a drain in it. And then this barrel here collects the dirt.
Alrighty, well, let's go inside and see the wash pack area.
Okay, we still call it the storeroom because you remember when it was a
store when we were doing
back in the U-Pick strawberry days. Our board that has everything that needs to be harvested. This is just our to-do thing, which we've got most of it done.
For the week, yeah.
Okay. We try to use the walkie-talkies. This is the wash and pack. At one time, it was a certified kitchen, but we let that certification go because now we have the bakery, separate bakery. Just simple bubbler, green spinner. This is where we pack our salad mixes.
Microgreens and stuff like that.
Nothing fancy here. This is the best part of the wash and pack, in my opinion. So this is just a wash tub, but because we've got low pressure, it always took a long time to fill these things up. So Caleb just put a tank up here. And one of these valves, which I see is broken, but...
is the bottom one closed?
I think so. Yeah, it's closed. So these are just these RV, sewer valve kind of things. So you got your timer going?
I'm guessing this is going to be measured in seconds. So this isn't a bubbler. You're just using this for like what, bunching root?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just
Now, why haven't you done this for your bubbler?
well, we could
Coming
but-
soon. So then, as
So-
soon as that empties, you just close the valve.
Yeah.
That
So
refills.
we've got a Hudson valve that I think Farmer's Friend sells, right?
Yeah.
So then that fills
'Cause-
up while you're washing hair, and
Yeah.
and then it drains the same with a 3-inch drain.
It's
So
so this isn't an exact. Well, generally the RV ones, if somebody just looks up RV gate valve, it's actually like a twist lock kind of design. So you have to actually get one that's like for PVC that you can actually glue. So it took us a little bit. This is the same one that we're using for our bubblers, so that you can glue, PVC into it. But yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's time consuming to fill and drain, but if you have those, like a 3-inch valve, drains really quickly, but for most people, it's still going to take a long time for it to fill up. I mean, that was definitely less than a minute, probably like 20 seconds or
yeah,
something.
I think it's
Um,
like 15 seconds or something.
So that's pretty awesome.
And here's our walk-in cooler. It's nothing fancy, just a cool bot, and we do have spray and insulation as well as some foam. It works.
That's about all you need. All right, well, we could probably talk and tour for hours, but we should probably head out and wrap this up. Thanks for taking time for the tour. This has been awesome, and I think people are going to enjoy it. If people want to find out more about what you guys are doing here, you guys have the social media on Instagram, Bountiful Blessings Farm, and the website is also a good resource, bountifulblessingsfarm.com. My parents do on-farm training, so you can come and do a week-long training here at the farm. You do anything longer than that, or is it just the week-longs at this
Now
point?
we have the 6-month internship.
Yeah, 6-month internship and week-long trainings and lots of cool stuff. They have a bakery, and you can learn more in some of that, I guess, by looking at the Good Life film. And then the other thing I was going to mention is if you want to read a story about the beginning of the farm, my mom wrote a book. It's a faith-based book on the journey of Bountiful Blessings Farm, and that's available on our website, probably also on your website, but farmersfriend.com or bountifulblessingsfarm.com.
Got to read it to the end because it's kind of painful.
Yeah. I mean, it was a painful journey, but it's a really cool book. A lot of people have enjoyed it and found a lot of value in it. So thanks again for giving us this tour. And if you all like content like this, please subscribe to our channel. We post farm tours and Good Life films every couple months. Happy farming.